Hello and welcome. Tonight, Kogi State elections, local government elections have been announced there as the Independent National Electoral Commission fixes November the 18th to conduct fresh elections in 59 polling units where the commission received reports of irregularities. And it's a landslide victory for Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma as he wins his second-term bid with a wide margin, defeating his closest rivals and candidates of the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party. Collation of results in Bayelsa State continues on Monday after results from 6 local government areas have been submitted, with 2 still being expected. And hospitals in Gaza are nearing breaking point as Israel offers to evacuate babies trapped in the Gaza's second-largest hospital, Al-Quds. Once again, welcome. Staying with the Kogi election, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has fixed Saturday, November the 18th, 2023, for fresh polls in 59 polling units in the Ogori-Magono local government area of Kogi State. And this is contained in a statement by the National Commissioner of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mr. Mohammed Haruna. In a statement, the electoral umpire says the fresh election will cover areas where voting was suspended because result sheets were cited before voting started. According to INEC, the most critical identity were in 9 out of its wards in the local government areas of the state. Candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the November 11 governorship election in Kogi State, Mr. Dino Melaye, is asking the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to cancel the result of the election in its entirety. Speaking in Lokoja, Mr. Melaye says the electoral umpire and its ad hoc staff have been highly compromised as several infractions were deliberately executed in favor of All Progressives Congress and its candidate.
INEC have manifested more than ever before that they cannot be trusted, they are biased, they are compromised, and they cannot be a neutral umpire. INEC officials, youth corps members were caught yesterday with prepared result sheets even before the commencement of the processes leading to the election. A youth corps member was caught yesterday with 1 million naira in his bag. Complete 1 million naira with a prepared results already. There was deliberate suppression of my votes in Lokoja and Kogi local government. This was deliberately done by Yaya Bello and the APC to make sure that even in their orchestrated arrangement, I don't come second, because they do believe that there will be a second ballot. And they believe that if there's a second ballot, I have tremendous influence and support in the central, and I can build an inroad in the east. So they will prefer any other person to come second, who will find it difficult to have support in the central.
And staying with the Kogi State elections, we'll take you now live back to Kogi State to continue with the collation of results.
052, SDP 259052, YPP 868, YPP 868, ZLP 227, ZLP 227. Total valid votes 782,289. Total valid votes 782,289. Rejected votes 9601. Rejected votes 9601. Total votes cast 791890. Total votes cast 791890. Okay, so please, will the party agents come up here to sign the collected results? Party agents that are here, please, do you mind coming up to sign the collected results? The parties that are here, please, sorry, because we wrote 2 times to get enough number of copies. But as you sign, you wait so that you take your copy once. we wrote this twice so that you have enough copies. After signing, you can wait so that you take your own copy. You can just okay. Okay, this is the
Well, we'll definitely be going back to the collation center very shortly. In the meantime, the national chairman of the party, Mr. Shehu Gbagam, has said in line with the suspension of election due to some malpractices in Adavi, Ajaokuta, Ogori, Magono, Okehi, and Okene local government areas in Kogi State, which affected 9 registration areas, the commission has no business accepting results from these affected areas until the issues are addressed.
It is not acceptable to us in SDP, especially what we saw going on in Adavi, Okene, and Okehi. The rigging was unprecedented. We have the result of the IRF with us right here. And it is in all the public space, including INEC, we have copied them. And in their press release, they promised to look into it and work on it. But what is surprising to us, the returning officer is announcing those disputed areas. They are collecting the result of those disputed areas. It's not acceptable. I will not accept it. We are in for peace. We are in for election that is decent, that is credible. The security agencies have secured the environment. INEC as an institution also must demonstrate capacity for transparency, sense of belonging, and protecting every vote that was counted. If you look at Adadi, the accredited voters are 28,070. And then if you look at the result sheets of votes, you have 88,403. If you look at the overvoting figures, you have 60,343, which is 85% increment in 186 polling units.
In part 2, after the break, more on the off-cycle governorship elections, and we'll be bringing you developments in Bayelsa and Kogi states. Please stay with us. Mark, we go head to Kogi State now, to the Collation Center for more.
7th of November 2023, the election was contested. The candidates received the following votes. 1. Jibrin Osman Oyibe of Party A received 1254 votes. 1254 2,354 votes. 2. Brahimo Olayinka Adenehon of AA received 1,440 votes. 1,440 votes. Achimugu Augustine Abu of AAC received 424 votes. 424 votes. Abejide Leke Joseph of ADC received 21,819 votes. 21,819 votes. Eluko Julius of ADP received 1,064 votes. 1,064 votes. Ahmed Osman Ododo of APC received 446,237 votes. 446,237 votes. Ilona Idoko Kingsley of APGA received 469 votes. 469 votes. Isa Dauda Utewojo of APM received 130 votes. 130 votes. Onaji Sunday Frank of APP received 1,135 votes. 1,135 votes. Muhammad Kabir Umar of BP received 82 votes. 82 votes. Okeme Adejo of LP received 567 votes. 567 votes. Hassan Abdullahi of NNPP received 136 votes. 136 votes. Dirisu Bala Abduafa of NRM received 242 votes. 242 votes. Melaye Daniel Dino of PDP received 46362 votes. 46362 votes. Dr. Abdullahi Bayawo of PRP received 781 votes. 781 votes. Yakubu Murtala of SDP received 259,052 votes. 259,052 votes. Ombale Samson Agada of YPP received 868 votes. 868 votes. Suleiman Taye Fatima of ZLP received 227 votes. 227 votes. And Ahmed Osman Ododo of APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected. Thank you very much. So the agents.
And that declaration has been made. Ahmed Usman Ododo of the All Progressives Congress has been declared the winner of the Kogi State governorship election with 446,237 votes. Now, away from Kogi State, let's head to Imo State, where the incumbent governor of the state, Hope Uzodinma, has emerged winner of the Imo governorship election with a total vote of 540,308 and the winning in all 27 areas. Governor Uzodinma beat his main challengers, Samuel Anyanwu of the People's Democratic Party and Ethan Achonu of the Labour Party, who came second and third in that election. The state returning officer of the election, Professor Abayomi Fashino, who is also the Vice-Chancellor of the Federal University Oye-Okiti, Ekiti State, announced the results today. Our correspondent Dari Idowu reports.
From the field to this auditorium where the decisions of the people will be made known based on numbers from the polling units.
SCP-02.
By 2 a.m., the collation center was activated and expected to be a smooth sail.
11054.
The returning officer, Professor Abayomi Fashino, had barely finished his opening remarks when the agent of the Labour Party raised up his hand.
I think we need to move forward at this stage. And the point I've made is the fact that issues happen on the field. I was not there, you were not there. So for me to now start probing things that happen on the field, I don't think it's right.
The returning officer said his job was to collect results and not to treat petitions. After hours of disagreement and several interruptions, by 5 a.m., the situation escalated.
You are destroying the collation of this election. You are destroying the collation of this election, please. Please, you can't destroy this election.
The collation continued, and about 9:40 a.m., the returning officer declared the incumbent as the winner of the election.
That Uzodinma Odidika, Good Hope of APC, having certified the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected. Signed as the returning officer, Fashino Abayomi, Sunday, dated 12th day of November 2023.
On the streets of Owerri, the supporters of the governor trooped out to celebrate the victory. Observers, opposition parties, and their candidates have been reacting as well.
This is lowest in democracy. We are people who are not accredited, who are not party agents, who are not even part of the process, could have access to the inner code room of INEC.
70% of the voting yesterday was done without BVAS accreditation. Yet a result was announced. I'm told by people that this is just the beginning. After all, it was Supreme Court that made Hope Uzodinma governor of Imo State.
BVAS is not being used. You find out that the results are being collected manually. And they will tell you that the BVAS is not working. There's no data. So I don't understand. What kind of election is that? So as far as I'm concerned, the election in Imo State was nothing to write home about.
I will advise the candidate, the winner, the candidate INEC have declared as the winner, to form an all-inclusive form of leadership, form a think tank made up of the other 17 candidates that he contested with.
The results show a sweeping victory for the governor in an election with a low turnout, an indication that the post-election task may include reconciling frayed nerves and winning the trust of more people of the state. Dari Idu, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, Governor Hope Uzodinma says his victory at the just concluded polls is a vindication that he truly won the 2019 governorship election in the state, but was shortchanged by enemies of democracy. Speaking at the special Thanksgiving service at the Government House Chapel in Owerri, the state capital, the governor promises that he will never betray the confidence reposed in him by the people.
That Uzodinma Odidika, Good Hope of APC, having certified the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
Few hours after INEC declared the Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma as the winner of the just concluded governorship polls in the state, his first public appearance is at the Government House Chapel for a special Thanksgiving. Amidst cheers and pleasantries from well-wishers, the governor is accompanied by his wife and the governor of Cross River State, Bassey Otu. For the first and second Bible reading, the Deputy Governor, Placid Njoku, and the governor delivered this assignment.
To fix one's thought on her is perfect understanding, and he who is vigilant on her account will soon be free from care.
We will not have you ignorant, brethren, concerning those who are asleep, that you may not grieve as others do who have no hope.
We are approaching the end of the civil year 2023.
Then the homily by the presiding priest.
It's a normal time for stock taking, for reappraisal of our activities throughout the year.
I was elated
While speaking for the first time after his victory at the polls, the governor expresses gratitude to God and Imo people for their show of love and solidarity. He says for the first time in the history of the state, a governor is winning across all the 27 local government areas. He promises to consolidate on the gains of his first tenure.
This victory is very dear to me because it is a way of vindicating our story, that the same God who did it has done it again. All I want to assure you is that what you have done, you have provoked me into more actions. So I've seen it as a mark of trust. So this confidence reposed on me. I shall not betray.
Now that the much talked about November 11 governorship election in Imo State has come and gone, the expectations of the people are high, and hopefully Governor Uzodinma will match words with actions and fulfill all his campaign promises to the people.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Channels Television's data analyst drills down on the journey so far in the 3 states, Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi. Welcome back. Let's head to Bayelsa State now, where residents will have to wait till tomorrow for the conclusion of the collation of results in the governorship election conducted on Saturday. But so far, results have been collated in 6 out of 8 local government areas of the state. The state returning officer, Farouk Kuta, who presided over the session, called for the adjournment twice before the adjournment was announced. Our correspondent Dobra Timmy Woods reports.
The collation of results at the Bayelsa State Collation Center has just been adjourned for tomorrow noon. Now, before the adjournment, INEC has already announced the results from 6 local government areas, remaining 2 local governments, that is Southern Ijaw and Brass. Now, with the results already announced, PDP was leading with 5 local governments, while APC was announced to have won 1 local government. Now, everybody seated in this hall expected the process to be concluded tonight. But INEC says they've been waiting for the result for the 2 remaining local government ends. They cannot conclude the process and will continue noon tomorrow. Outside the fence of INEC, it's another world entirely, as PDP protesters are still there. In fact, they say they are keeping a vigil. They are watching over their results, as they do not want anything untoward to happen regarding the announcement of the results. Earlier on, we went there to check on the protesters, and we discovered that the number was actually increasing. And INEC, in their judgment, may have felt that the situation is getting tense. Then they dispersed everybody for everybody to reconvene tomorrow. Earlier on the day, when people started observing that the results were trickling in from Yenegua to Ogbia to Sagbama, Ekeremo, people started waiting, optimistic, calculating. Everybody has turned to, an expert when it comes to the announcement, collating and seeing who is winning. Bayelsans are waiting. They want to know who won the governorship elections that took place yesterday, the 11th of November. And it's interesting that I have to inform you that this morning we got informed that in Southern Ijaw local government, yes, Southern Ijaw local government again, because whenever it has to do with an election cycle in Bayelsa State, Southern Ijaw local government always pops up. For today, we discovered that yesterday, while everybody expected that the voting process was concluded, in some wards in Southern Ijaw local government area of Bayelsa State, voting was concluded today. Now, that is a factor that made it impossible for their results to be completely collected and submitted to this collation center today. We are waiting for Brass and Southern Ijaw. Other than that, we're also monitoring those protesters, especially from the PDP, who says they are keeping vigil outside the INEC gate to see, with this adjournment of the collation, if they will disperse, possibly reconvene tomorrow, or just wait at home and monitor the process. From Yenegua, Dobra Timmy Wood, Channels Television.
Earlier, some party agents who took to the streets spoke on the reason for their protest. An INEC head to voters' education in Bayelsa State was on ground to address their complaints.
We say, if there is no accreditation, there cannot be any results. Yes. All of us go our voting units. We stay and do accreditation. We don't vote. We don't see inside where total number of registered voters. Some few don't die, but those people even still come vote. Total number of registered voters. The same thing with accredited voters, but without beavers. Not be waiting with a fine. INEC promised us, and we believe in their promise. Here, with the results we have seen so far, we are in a comfortable lead. But so subvert the decision of the people, we are going to resist it. Any result that will come in should come in a way that all voters were accredited, votes were cast, sorted out, counted, and collation done, and winner, loser declared. Not be so? Not so.
We are calling on outright cancellation. Because there was no election in Nebe Constituency 3, Ward 13, Ward 12, Ward 11. Even Nebe Constituency, through the Basai military ordered everything. No materials were released.
What we are saying is that INEC has to follow the due process. With due process, we know that the true results will come out, and the true winner and victor would be declared.
For the commission, we promise that every polling unit will get a BVAS. And for every polling unit that the BVAS is not used, that result will not be accepted. And remember, the serial numbers of all these BVAS we are taking. And the commission definitely, since this protest has come up, you have your poll agents at the various levels. They are still coming with this protest, and they are going to make their submission, and definitely it's going to be investigated. So the assurance is that I'm taking this message to the REC, and for those of you who have met him before, you know one is a very thorough person, and he's not going to take this lightly, and the commission is not joking about the BVAS. No BVAS used, no election in that particular polling unit, and it will be cancelled. So that's the assurance I'm giving right now. But this process definitely will get to our REC, and of course we'll get them.
Elections are not only about good governance, it is also about improving the quality of democracy. Obajide Ogunsowo, who's the founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data consultant, is here to share insights about the facts behind the figures in this race to govern Bayelsa, Imo, and of course Kogi State. Hello, Obajide. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Ann. What a day.
All right, what a day, right? Now, what is the state of the governorship race at the moment?
Summary, nothing has changed. Going into the governorship elections, remember that the Labour Party, the NNPP, and the ABGA each govern one state, if we take a look at that. And we also remember that the PDP governed 13 states and the APC 20 states. So that still remains the same. The summary is, if we're able to take a quick look at what the governorship map looks like today, yes, we see that across the 7 states in the Northwest, nothing happened there, but we know that the APC controls 6 out of the 7 states. In the North Central, yes, we see that election result that has been announced from Kogi State, which also simply means that in the North Central region, the APC still holds strong, controlling 5 out of the 6 states, excluding Plateau State. Now, clearly, nothing happened in this election in the Northeast. But we know in the Northeast, out of the 6 states, it's split equally between the APC and the PDP. No elections in the Southwest, clearly. We had only 3 elections, but still in the Southwest, the APC controlling 4 out of the 6 states in the Southwest, leaving the PDP with Oyo State and Osun State. Now, in the South-South, that's big. And that's because that is where the PDP still remains very strong. We know that across the 6 states in the South-South, the PDP controls 5 out of those 6 states, leaving only 1 in Cross River for the APC. And that is based on the results and the trends we are seeing, which we'll go into. The PDP is still in the lead in that electoral result that is coming out from Bayelsa. But something interesting again is happening in Imo. We remember what happened in the presidential election results where it was the Labour Party. We remember exactly what happened here. The Labour Party, even though we had the APC as its governor, the Labour Party's presidential candidate, Peter Obi, had huge margins in the presidential election results. But that has changed, Anne. If we look at what happened in these results that were announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission in Imo, we see that the governor won using some very, very definite strategies. Now, the 2023 situation, and if you take a look at that result from on Imo, here's what we'll notice. 700,000 votes, valid votes were declared, but based on what we see, and if we have those numbers exactly, these are the numbers, 700,000 valid votes across all of Imo's local governments, but half of these votes came from one zone, the West. These are the results from INEC. And why is the West region very important? That is where the governor of Imo State comes from, Oru East. So in simple terms, half of those that turned up to vote in Imo State came from the zone of the governor. And when the results came, what we've seen INEC declare is that the governor won 85% of the votes in his zone, Oru West. Imo West. The governor won 85% of all the votes in that zone, leaving the North and the East, where he won 68% of the votes. So in summary, that's exactly how Governor Hope Uzodinma was re-elected. Again, I repeat that, 700,000 valid votes. 55% of those votes came from his zone in the West, and he won 85% of those numbers, and then he won 68% of the numbers that were declared from the East and the North. So that's exactly what has happened so far. Again, nothing has changed. The APC still remains the strongest party in the North, controlling 13 out of the 19 governorship states that we have in northern Nigeria. And the PDP, based on the national electoral map, still is the dominant party in southern Nigeria, controlling 8 states out of the 17 states in southern Nigeria. So nothing has changed. Apart from that, the results from the Imo presidential results were significantly different from the governorship results.
But what did his results show? I mean, when you compare it to presidential election or even previous elections that have been held in these 3 states?
It depends. We've seen the elections, Bayelsa, Imo, Kogi. We could take a look at what has happened in Bayelsa, where we have 8 local governments. Things have changed. Look at, on the left, we see what happened when this election happened 4 years ago across Bayelsa Central, East and West. Central, Yenogwa, Kolukuma, Southern Ijaw, APC won 2 out of 3 of those local governments. Look at what has happened right now. The results that have been declared shows that PDP has won 2 out of the 3 local governments in Bayelsa Central. We're waiting for that big local government, Southern Ijaw. That could change the results. Look at what happened in the last election in Bayelsa East. APC winning the 3 local governments in Bayelsa East. APC has only won 1 local government in Bayelsa East. PDP has won another local government. Bayelsa West, it was 1-1. Right now, based on the complete results from Bayelsa West, the PDP, the sitting governor, has won the Bayelsa West. In all, based on the numbers released from INEC, currently the PDP seems to have, mathematically, the PDP has a margin in excess of 60,000. However, big numbers expected from Southern Ijaw and Brass. Yeah. What sort of numbers are expected? PVC collection between Southern Ijaw and Brass, 270,000 persons have PVCs. What will these results be? Looking at these trends and looking at the results that have been released, what we see is approximately 30% of those that had PVCs came out to vote. So if we have 270,000 persons with PVCs, we are still looking at, when these results come out, the estimate is between Southern Ijaw and Brass will be looking at approximately 25 to 35% voter turnout, which may influence or may not influence the final result. But as at the moment, based on the results we have from 6 local governments, the only local government that the APC has won, that is Nembe. 5 local governments, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the PDP is in the lead.
All right. Thank you very much. Babajide Ogunsanwo, founder of Leadership by Data and of course Channels Television.
And when we have much time, we'll take a look at exactly what happened in
Kogi. All right. Thank you very much.
The pleasure is all mine.
To other stories now, residents of Odiemerenyi community in Ahoda East local government area of Rivers State have been thrown into panic as suspected cultists have shot and killed 5 members of the community. The Dastardly act took place in the early hours of Sunday. It is believed to have been orchestrated by dreaded David Gift and his gang, who are wanted for a murder of a late DPO Bako Agbashim. A native of the community told Channels Television that the gangsters invaded the village at about 1 a.m., shot and killed 2 of his brothers and another person in his compound, and 5 people in total were killed. According to the source, the invaders were calling for the release of their members from police custody. It was also gathered that 2 of the gangsters were gunned down by police operatives who responded to distress call, but were engaged in a gun battle by the gang. The attackers accused those killed of being informants to the police and other security agencies. And in a world of sports, Lobby Stars of Makurdi beat visiting Sporting Lagos 1-0 this evening in match day 8 of the Nigeria Premier Football League to maintain a 2-point lead in the top of the table on 17 points. While they are closely trailed by Remo Stars of Okene, and who they were trashed by Gombe United 4-0 and are on 15 points with a game in hand. Kwara United and Shooting Stars played a 1-1 draw in Ilori. As for Kano Pillars, they triumphed 1-0 against Enyimba in a game of former champions at Jos City Stadium. Plateau United beat Abia Warriors 3-1. And Manchester City were thwarted by Cole Palmer's 95th minute penalty as Chelsea salvaged a 4-4 draw from an incredible clash. And this happened this evening while Mohamed Salah fired Liverpool up to second in the English Premier League. A share of the spoils at Stamford Bridge leaves City 1 point ahead of Liverpool, who beat Brentford at 3-0. Aston Villa are also unstoppable on home soil of late as the Emery's men beat Fulham at 3-1 for the 13th consecutive win at Villa Park. Brighton and Sheffield United played 1-1 draw. West Ham snapped their streak of 3 consecutive Premier League defeats with a thrilling 3-2 victory over Nottingham Forest. And outside our shores, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has once again reiterated Nigeria's readiness in welcoming Saudi investors in Nigeria and mentioned this during the Saudi-Nigeria roundtable meeting in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Speaking at that forum, he assured members of the Saudi government that change is coming from Africa, that the change is right here, and that the perception of Nigeria as laid back and the emphasis on corruption is gone. Our correspondent Amarachi Ubani, who is in Riyadh, now reports.
I'm Mohammed Umaru Babu. I'm the governor of Nigeria.
Nigeria and Saudi Arabia headed towards ever closer ties, especially after the Saudi-Nigeria roundtable meeting held on the sidelines of the Saudi Africa Summit this weekend in Riyadh. President Bola Tinubu wasted no time reassuring his hosts that Nigeria is the best place to do business in Africa, saying the elephantitis that plagued the nation's development and progress is cured, and Nigeria remains at the heart of Africa, serious and dynamic.
The change is right here. Perception of Nigeria has been that of layback, corruption, and giant of Africa with elephantiasis. But that is gone. The realization of that hope is here. The belief is here. The change of the perception is right here. Forget the categorization of corruption. Forget it. It won't happen no more.
His words and conversations with the Saudi government officials leading up to the roundtable meeting in Riyadh did the convincing for the kingdom's Minister of Investment, Khalid Al-Khalid Al-Fali, who praised both countries' sense of visionary leadership.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we know that under His Excellency President Tinubu's leadership, Nigeria has embarked on the country's boldest economic reform agenda in decades. Very much mirroring what is happening in Saudi Arabia under the leadership of His Majesty King Salman and His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman. So we have at the heart of the Arab world here on the western edge of Asia and the anchor and the center of gravity of Africa on the western edge of Africa. Two economies with great set of resources, with visionary leadership on both sides, who are set on this very transformative set of reforms that are quite compatible but complementary in nature, that bode so much promise for not only our countries and our people, but indeed for our regions, as we set the role model and the example of how economic development, prosperity, and putting the interests of the people first is going to result in the future.
Other ministers and top business people on both sides highlighted areas of cooperation and investment, which will be led by the newly formed Saudi-Nigeria Business Council.
The message is one of mutual cooperation, collaboration, partnership to the benefit of all and for the benefit of the good peoples of both countries. And I think the overall inspiration were two stories. The story of Saudi Arabia since 2015 under the leadership of the Crown Prince, and of course Nigeria since May 2023 under the leadership of Mr. President.
The biggest challenge has been the investment, because there has been traditionally a trust deficit between Nigeria and Saudi. The businessmen from both sides are not very comfortable with each other. But now you can see from all the discussions, so much can be done. You could see day before yesterday, a lot of agreements were signed with many countries. Saudi is ready to invest within the next 7 years up to $50 billion in Africa. And the bulk could come to Nigeria.
The Saudi-Nigeria Business Roundtable meeting, the culmination of the Saudi-Africa Summit here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The next few months will determine the outcome of the meetings here, one of which is the Saudi-Nigeria Joint Business Council, which government ministers say will be a real good opportunity for both sides to tap into the advantages of their economies. From here in Saudi Arabia, Amarachi Ubani, Channels Television News.
The World Health Organization, WHO, says it has lost communication with its contacts at Gaza's main hospital, Al-Shifa, and has grave concerns for the safety of staff and patients, including babies there who have become trapped by fighting around the hospital. Israeli military says it has agreed to help evacuate these babies from the hospital to a safer facility, but denies Al-Shifa has lost power. And the main news again. The waiting game is over in Kogi State, where the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has announced Usman Ododo of the All Progressives Congress winner of the off-cycle governorship election. And it's a landslide re-election victory for Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma, who promised to reward residents of the state with more developmental projects. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. Have a wonderful day.